You know, there's something magnetic about a woman who knows who she is. She walks into a room, and even if she's not the loudest, people feel her. She doesn't have to chase attention, it just naturally finds her. And when it comes to love, she doesn't play games or beg for affection. She inspires it. That, my love, is the power of true femininity. Let's be honest, the dating world today can feel confusing. Everyone's talking about high value this, alpha that, and somehow the simple beauty of being feminine has gotten lost in the noise. But here's the truth. Femininity isn't about weakness. It's not about submission. It's about energy. A deep, grounded, radiant energy that awakens something powerful in the right kind of man. If you've ever wondered why some women seem to effortlessly attract devotion, respect, and love, not because they're the prettiest or the richest, but because there's something different about them, this video is for you, because I'm going to break down how to make him fall for you with femininity, not manipulation, not tactics, but real, embodied energy that makes him feel like he's met someone unforgettable. Before we dive in, I want you to stay open. What we're going to talk about isn't surface-level dating tips. This is about your essence, your softness, your strength, your emotional intelligence, all the things that make you deeply feminine in a world that often tries to harden women. So if you're ready to reconnect with your natural power, to attract from a place of confidence instead of fear, to love without losing yourself, and to become the kind of woman who doesn't chase but chooses, then take a deep breath, stay with me, and let's begin. And hey, before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe. Because around here, we're building a community of women who are done pretending to be someone they're not, women who are ready to embrace their softness and their standards. 1. Soft power is real power. There's this myth that to be powerful, you have to be hard. That to be respected, you have to act like you don't care. But true femininity isn't about pretending to be indifferent, it's about being intentional. Soft power is the kind of power that doesn't shout to be seen. It's the power that feels. Think of women like Audrey Hepburn, Maya Angelou, or the archetypal queen. Women who carried themselves with grace, but were never to be underestimated. They had presence, not because they demanded it, but because they embodied it. When you understand soft power, you stop confusing loudness with influence. You stop trying to control every outcome. Instead, you start leading with emotion, empathy, and authenticity. And suddenly, people respond to you differently. In relationships, soft power is what draws a man in emotionally. When you're operating from that space, he doesn't feel like he's being tested or manipulated. He feels safe. And that safety, that emotional peace, is what keeps him coming back. Let me tell you something most women never hear. Your softness is not a liability. It's your greatest asset. But it only becomes powerful when you pair it with boundaries. Because softness without boundaries becomes self-sacrifice, and boundaries without softness become walls. You need both. The queen archetype, for example, doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't collapse into insecurity. She sits in her power with a calm heart. She knows that her presence alone is valuable, and when she loves deeply, but never desperately. So ask yourself, when was the last time you allowed yourself to feel without judgment, to speak softly, not out of fear, but out of inner calm? To move through the world knowing that your energy, your quiet confidence, changes the atmosphere around you? That's the beginning of magnetism. That's the kind of energy that makes a man think, there's something about her I can't shake. 2. Emotional depth is irresistible. Here's something you might not realize. Men fall for women who make them feel, not women who entertain them or agree with everything they say, but women who reach a part of them that the world doesn't usually touch. Emotional depth is the heartbeat of femininity. It's the courage to be real. To say, this is who I am and this is what I feel, without turning it into a performance. It's the willingness to let someone see your light and your shadow, your laughter and your tears. When you have emotional depth, you're not trying to be chill all the time. You're not shrinking your emotions to be more likable. You're not afraid of silence or vulnerability. You understand that being emotionally expressive isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Because you know that connection doesn't happen on the surface. Think of women like Frida Kahlo or Simone de Beauvoir, women who lived with intensity, passion, and truth. They weren't perfectly composed all the time, but they were real. And that authenticity is what made them unforgettable. When you bring emotional depth into your relationships, you create space for intimacy. You become the kind of woman who inspires a man to open up, not because you demand it, but because he feels seen in your presence. That's rare. That's feminine power. But here's where many women go wrong. They confuse emotional depth with emotional chaos. Being deep doesn't mean being dramatic. It means having self-awareness. You can express yourself without exploding, feel intensely without losing control, and be vulnerable without losing dignity. That balance of passion and poise is magnetic. It makes a man feel like he's with a woman who's not just emotionally open, but emotionally intelligent. When you're connected to your emotional depth, you also stop chasing validation. Because you know how to validate yourself. You know that your emotions are messengers, not enemies. You don't suppress them or overshare them, you understand them. And from that understanding comes wisdom. You start seeing patterns, not just in men, but in yourself. You start realizing, I keep attracting this type of energy because of what I'm still healing. And when you approach love from that level of self-awareness, you stop repeating cycles. You start attracting alignment. So, let me ask you, are you emotionally available to yourself? Are you listening to your feelings or just running from them? Because the more you can meet you, the easier it becomes for someone else to meet you too. There's a certain kind of woman who leaves an imprint on a man's heart, not because she's the most beautiful or the most perfect, but because she's emotionally alive. She feels, she reflects, she listens. She doesn't numb her softness to survive, like she uses it to connect. And that's what makes her unforgettable. When a man meets a woman like that, a woman who's emotionally in tune, calm, yet expressive, it shifts something inside him. He realizes he can finally feel again. And once he experiences that, he won't want to lose it. Because here's the secret. Men don't fall in love through logic. They fall through emotion, through how you make them feel, and how you allow yourself to feel. So if you've ever wondered how to make a man truly fall for you, it starts there, in your emotional depth, in your ability to be soft but strong, expressive but grounded, vulnerable but wise. That's the energy that makes him remember you, even when you're not around. That's the kind of femininity that doesn't just attract love, it keeps it. 3. The calm woman wins. We live in a world that rewards reactivity, quick comebacks, instant gratification, emotional impulsiveness. It's everywhere. But the woman who knows how to stay calm in chaos, she's magnetic, she's rare, she's the woman everyone remembers. See, emotional regulation isn't talked about enough when it comes to femininity, but it's one of your greatest secret weapons. The calm woman doesn't chase. She doesn't need to beg or threaten or play mind games. She sits in her energy and lets her presence speak. Imagine a moment where a man pulls back, gets distant, or says something that triggers you. Most people would react instantly, text back defensively, over-explain, or spiral into anxiety. But when you're calm, you breathe, you observe, you give space. Not because you don't care, but because you do, about yourself. You know that love built on panic never lasts. Being calm doesn't mean being detached, it means being centered. It means knowing that whatever happens, you'll be okay. And that energy, that quiet, self-assured composure, drives men absolutely wild. Because it signals emotional maturity, it tells him, this woman doesn't lose herself in drama. She's grounded, she's confident in who she is. That's feminine grace. It's not robotic stillness, it's elegant restraint. It's knowing when to lean in and when to lean back. It's the ability to respond, not react. Think of stoic women in history and literature like Queen Esther, who used patience and emotional intelligence to save her people, or women in ancient philosophy who were revered for their temperance. These women weren't passive, they were powerful. They didn't waste energy proving a point. They let their silence do the talking. The calm woman knows her emotions are sacred. She doesn't throw them around for attention. She uses them like art, precise, intentional, powerful. Ask yourself, do I control my emotions, or do my emotions control me? When I'm triggered, can I still move with grace? Because here's the truth. When you learn to master your emotional state, you become unshakable. And when you're unshakable, you become unforgettable. 4. Boundaries make you magnetic. Let's talk about boundaries, because this is where a lot of women lose their power without even realizing it. We've been conditioned to believe that being nice means saying yes even when it hurts. That being loving means tolerating behavior that doesn't honor us. But that's not love. That's fear. Real femininity isn't about pleasing, it's about choosing. When you have boundaries, you're not building walls, you're building gates. Gates that open for people who respect your energy and close for those who don't. You're teaching the world how to treat you, not with anger, but with clarity. A woman with boundaries doesn't have to threaten, nag, or over-explain. Her energy says everything. You can feel it in the way she says no, in the way she walks away when something doesn't align, in the way she chooses peace over proving herself. That's power, that's respect. And the beautiful thing is, boundaries don't push the right man away. They draw him closer. Because a masculine man, a man who's emotionally mature, craves structure. He wants to feel that he's with a woman who knows her worth. Your boundaries don't scare him, they stabilize him. The queen archetype embodies this perfectly. She's not cruel, she's compassionate but firm. She doesn't lower her standards for anyone. She knows that love without self-respect is an illusion. When you start embodying that same energy, you start noticing how different men respond. The wrong ones will test you, the right ones will rise to meet you. And this is where it gets deep. Your boundaries reflect your self-love. Every time you say yes when your soul is screaming no, you teach yourself that your comfort doesn't matter. But when you honor your truth, you reinforce your worth. So ask yourself, what boundaries am I afraid to set because I fear losing someone? And what would happen if I trusted that setting them would actually bring me closer to myself? Because that's the shift. Once you stop betraying yourself for love, you start attracting love that doesn't require betrayal. 5. Mystery keeps desire alive. Now let's talk about something that's often misunderstood. Mystery. A lot of people think mystery means playing games or hiding your feelings, but that's not it. True mystery isn't about manipulation. It's about self-containment. Mystery is what happens when a woman is fully herself, but doesn't feel the need to expose every part of her too soon. It's when she lets a man discover her slowly, layer by layer, instead of dumping her entire soul on the first few dates. You are a story meant to be read one chapter at a time. And when you rush to be fully understood, you rob someone of the joy of discovering you. Think about the women who linger in memory. Cleopatra, Josephine Baker, Marilyn Monroe. Women who could be playful and open, but never predictable. There was always more to them than what met the eye. They carried mystery not because they were distant, but because they were centered. Mystery is born from self-possession, from knowing that not everyone deserves full access to your mind, your heart, your energy. It's about protecting your essence until someone earns the right to experience it. In today's world, where oversharing is the norm, mystery feels magnetic. It's refreshing, because it signals self-respect. It shows that you don't crave constant validation. You're content within your own world. A woman with mystery doesn't withhold to manipulate. She simply understands timing. She lets connection unfold naturally. She knows that emotional intimacy built slowly is the kind that lasts. Men fall for women who leave them wondering, not confused. There's a difference. Confusion feels manipulative, mystery feels intriguing. Confusion creates distance, mystery builds anticipation. When you embody mystery, you become an experience. You make a man earn your trust, your laughter, your softness. And when he does, it means something. Because he had to show up with consistency and patience to see more of you. So take a moment and ask yourself, do I reveal myself out of confidence or out of fear? Am I sharing to connect, or am I oversharing to be accepted? Because real mystery isn't about withholding love, it's about pacing it. It's about letting your essence unfold in rhythm with trust, and that, more than anything, keeps desire alive. 6. Receptivity is the secret language of love. We've been conditioned to believe that control equals power. We plan, we pursue, we fix, we strategize, because somewhere along the way, we learned that if we don't, things might fall apart. But here's the truth. Love thrives in receptivity. Receptivity is not weakness. It's emotional intelligence in motion. It's the ability to receive compliments, love, help, affection, support, without shrinking, deflecting, or overanalyzing. It's the art of letting life meet you halfway. You know that moment when a man does something kind, offers to help, gives you a compliment, opens the door, and you brush it off with, "Oh, it's fine, I've got it." That's a moment where you shut off your feminine flow, because femininity doesn't compete with generosity, it receives it with grace. A receptive woman doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't force, she allows. And that's what makes her unforgettable, because she gives a man the space to give, to show up, to protect, to care, to invest. When you allow yourself to receive, you're not saying, "I can't do it." You're saying, "I'm open to being supported." And that's incredibly magnetic. Think about the great feminine archetypes, the muse, the goddess, the queen. None of them beg or prove. They simply are. And in their presence, others rise. Receptivity is about trust. Trusting yourself, trusting timing, trusting that you don't need to chase what's meant for you. It's a kind of emotional surrender that takes strength, not weakness. It's saying, "I'm open to love, but I won't force it. I'm open to connection, but I won't compromise myself for it." When you master receptivity, you begin to experience love differently. You stop trying to control how it unfolds and start focusing on how you feel within it. You start to see relationships as spaces for energy exchange, not emotional labor. A woman who's receptive doesn't need to dominate the conversation or prove her worth through effort. Her energy speaks first. Her stillness says, "I am worthy of being cherished." And men feel that. It gives them room to step up, to contribute, to lead in the ways they're meant to, without feeling emasculated. Because when the feminine receives, it invites the masculine to give. That's balance. That's polarity. So ask yourself, do I allow myself to receive? Or do I feel safer giving because control feels easier than trust? Can I sit in the space of uncertainty without rushing to fill it? The answer to those questions can change everything, not just in love, but in how you experience life. 7. Radiance comes from self-devotion. We talk a lot about glow, that spark in a woman's eyes, that effortless confidence that makes people turn their heads. But true radiance doesn't come from makeup, followers, or validation. It comes from devotion to yourself, your peace, your purpose, your joy. A radiant woman has fallen in love with her own becoming. She's not waiting for someone to complete her story, she's living it. She wakes up with gratitude, she moves with intention, and she honors her emotions instead of hiding from them. That's what makes her glow. When you're devoted to yourself, you stop chasing what drains you. You stop tolerating half-love. You stop seeking validation from people who don't see your worth, because you already see it. And that energy, it's irresistible. Because radiance isn't something you create. It's something you return to. It's who you were before the world told you to dim down. Look at women who embody this, like Princess Diana, whose compassion and strength touched millions, or Maya Angelou, who once said, Nothing can dim the light which shines from within. These women didn't radiate because life was easy. They radiated because they refused to let pain harden them. They stayed open. Self-devotion looks like rest when you need it. It looks like nourishing your body, saying no to chaos, saying yes to your dreams. It looks like spending time alone, reconnecting with your spirit, remembering that your energy is precious. When you start living that way, your entire aura shifts. You stop needing love to feel full. And that fullness is exactly what makes you magnetic. Because people can feel when a woman is whole. They can sense when she's not performing, but being. The truth is, men fall hardest for women who are at peace with themselves, because peace is rare, and when you have that, everything else aligns naturally. So, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what would my life look like if I treated myself like someone I deeply love? If I stopped waiting for permission to be happy and simply decided to be? That's where radiance is born. Not in perfection, but in presence. Not in appearance, but in alignment. At the end of the day, making him fall for you with femininity isn't about chasing or convincing, it's about remembering. Remembering that your softness is strength, that your emotions are wisdom, that your calm, your boundaries, your mystery, your openness, and your self-devotion all weave together to create something rare and captivating. When you embody that energy, love stops being something you fight for and becomes something that flows to you naturally. You stop performing and start glowing, and that glow, that quiet, grounded confidence, is what will make him fall for you, yes, but more importantly, it's what will make you fall deeper in love with yourself. So if this spoke to you, if you felt something awaken in your heart while listening, make sure you subscribe, because this space is for women like you. Women who are ready to rise, soften, and shine. Women who know that their feminine energy is not their weakness, it's their superpower. And remember this always. When you embody love, you don't have to chase it, you become it.